What's going on, y'all? Peace and love. We are back with the Rich from Anywhere podcast. Today we have a super duper special guest. I know I keep saying that, but this guy right here, super lit. All right, he's been in both of the new JUMANJIs, the reboots, Footloose, Star Trek, CW's Charmed. I mean, you name it. He's been doing it. He's been working his way through Hollywood, doing the damn thing, y'all. All right. So I just want to introduce y'all to my homie. We actually grew up together in Florida, went to the same church, did a few things, man. But I just want to introduce y'all to Ser'Darius Blain. What's good, brother?
What up? How we doing, man? Thank you for having me over here. Always good to kick it with the homies, you know.
Obviously, like, we know your story, but the viewers don't. Can you kind of go into your come up, man? Tell us a little bit about you and your grind and how you've gotten to where you're at today, man.
Honestly, I mean, it's kind of interesting that you say that because you say my come up. And I think part of what has caused me to be, so blessed is I think never honestly thinking that you've come up, just kind of constantly pushing the bar for yourself and setting your goals a little bit higher. Every time I get something that I want, I'm like, okay, well, how can I get more? How can I get better at whatever it is that I'm doing, that got me this far? You know what I'm saying? So I'm always trying to push the envelope for myself. I'm my own worst critic at all times. And when it comes to celebrating, I try to do that minimally. I mean, definitely do it, definitely celebrate, definitely appreciate where you are, but, get back to the grindstone. For me, I think part of what has made me push so hard at getting everything that I want in this life is growing up not having a lot in the first place. My mom, cliche story, I guess you say, single mother household, kind of thing. But it was different because my mom worked so hard all the time and I saw it so much. I'm the kind of person, like, I don't need someone to teach me something per se. I'll watch you enough to learn whatever it is that I want to learn, because I grew up very shy. I didn't want to ask people questions and stuff like that. So I learned how to kind of piecemeal who I wanted to be. When we played basketball, like, I didn't have money to like get a personal shooting coach. So what did I do? Go to the gym and watch Stevie Johnson shoot. You know what I mean? I was like, oh man, he tucks his elbow every time. And it's the same release every time. Best jump shooter I ever seen, still to this day. But I basically kind of ear hustled everybody I came across in life. My pastor, Pastor Clark, I watched, how he was with his son. Because I'm like, man, one day when I have a kid, I'm going to be like that. You know what I mean? So I always just kind of picked little pieces. When I went to acting school, two of the guys that are my mentors from the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts, I still talk to them to this day, but I picked and chose and kind of built my own philosophies on what I wanted to do and what kind of actor I wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to kind of be a student of life, as cliche as that also sounds, it's a real thing. As we get older, we start to kind of realize our own mortality. So I constantly keep a game clock running in my head. I relate everything in life to sports because it's so applicable, man. It's so, relevant. And so I just keep like a game clock in my head. Like, how much time do I have left in this game in order to get everything that I want out of it? You know what I mean? I treat every day like the fourth quarter. Nobody's going to do it for me. So if I have to take, that game winning shot, then it's going to have to be me. But that hunger, that chip on the shoulder comes from, nights sometimes where, my mom would have to wake us up at 2:00 in the morning and move us to the next spot. I moved 22 times by the time I turned 25. And I've moved a few times since then. So the idea of instability into adulthood freaked me out. So I've always worked hard so that I can make sure that I had something for a rainy day. And so that when I have a kid, I would be able to give him that kind of stability. But so, that hunger comes from not having. Jay-Z said something really important in an interview one time. The interviewer asked him, said, you're worth, X millions and millions of dollars, which is like over $500 million at that time. And he was like, but you still work so hard. Why? And he said, because I've been broke before. That's why. And that just constantly, I mean, it kind of emotionally scars you in a way, but I would not, I wouldn't change anything. I think I love the fact that I had that kind of upbringing to keep me hungry.
Honestly, like, the people that are listening right now, I think this story is gonna really resonate with them because you didn't come from much. You know what I'm saying? Growing up in the city, there honestly wasn't a lot of people to really look up to. But what you did was you dug and found those little hidden gems of people that you could kind of look at and take little bits and pieces and build you up to where you are today, man. So I think that that's an important teaching point for our audience, is that, you know, it doesn't matter where you're at, honestly. You can find people that are dope in your city. And on top of that, I mean, you're in the information age, you're on the internet, you can find a squad to rock with, an inner circle to rock with that can guide you and lead you to where you need to go, even if your circumstance around you currently doesn't necessarily say, oh, you're going to be successful. You know what I'm saying? There's always a way to get around that. So I think that's really dope, man. That's a dope story, bro.
And to add to that, man, it's not, honestly never been easier to actually get out there and really defy all the circumstances around you, and get out there and do some really, really dope shit, regardless of where you're at. I don't care if you're in some like random ass town in like Kansas where there's like barely even running water. I don't care if you got some Wi-Fi connection and a Starbucks or something, you can go down there and make something happen. Like with our first e-commerce business, when we first got into digital marketing, we started our first we built a 6-figure e-commerce business in a shitty ass apartment. Like, you should have seen this apartment. Like, it was like, we had huge ant problems, roach problems. Like, all of our neighbors would bang on our doors and tell us to turn the music down. And we got cops called on us. And it was terrible. But amidst of that, like, we were able to kind of do something really, really cool. And you know, so it can be done, man.
So, sir, like, I wanted to ask you, man, because you've had some pretty huge roles, man. So what I wanted to ask you is, how do you set goals for yourself? Like you said, you're your own worst critic, but like, how do you go about setting these goals and setting these milestones? Do you literally write them down, or do you have an idea in your head of what you want to do? How does that work in your brain?
Oh my God, my notes section on my phone is damn near like taking up all my memory, man. I'm constantly writing ideas down, constantly writing goals down. Every December, I make a new goal sheet for the year. I put 12 things on there for the year that I want to accomplish. And if there are 2 or 3 things left over from, you know, the current year that I haven't accomplished yet, I put those on back on the goal sheet for the next year. You know what I mean? I had a goal maybe for 4 years in a row. I was like, I'm going to make $1 million this year just from acting. 4 years in a row, it didn't happen until it did, you know? And this is not, I'm not preaching to you guys about making money and all this stuff, but I'm saying that was a personal goal of mine. It's like, okay, I wanted to, because I had started out my career just burning through cash because I had nobody to teach me financial responsibility. I never saw it before, so I didn't know what that even looked like. But I got to a point where I started self-teaching, and I started asking other actors that I admired questions about how they saved their money and stuff like that. So they taught me, you know, vicariously. Again, I was always ear hustling, you know, and I figured out how to do that. So I was like, okay, now you can make that kind of money and retain it, then you're good. And so I learned how to retain it for a couple of years. And I was like, man, if I could get it, retain it, and then make it grow, you know what I mean? So like just constantly pushing the envelope. That's just one like small example. But when it comes to like acting, I'm a very competitive person, but my thing is I'm not competitive with other people. I'm constantly competitive with myself because I know what kind of output I can generate if I truly 100% focus. And honestly, a lot of things have come easy for me in life when I put my mind to them. So that's why I know, like I decided to be an actor one day. I decided that, you know what I mean? I'd always thought about it, you know, while I was growing up, but one day I was like, I'm going to put my nose to the grindstone and I'm going to do this, you know what I mean? And I dropped out of school and I moved to New York and went to acting school, you know what I mean? So I think when things tend to kind of come easy for you, again, when I was in school, I got straight A's whenever I decided to, you know what I mean? So I don't give myself any opportunity to cut any corners. I don't give myself any opportunity to give up. I mean, you know, I work out every day with my trainer and he'll be like, get 15. I want you to get 15 of these. And I'll get to 14 and feel like I'm going to failure. But I'm like, okay, if I don't do this work right now, somebody else is going to take my spot. So when I get to 15, I'll try to push out 2 more. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like creating these like kind of mental goalposts for yourself and just keep pushing it a little bit further, because I think you should be your biggest motivator. I think you should be the person that is at least top 2 or 3 in your life that inspires you most as well. Because you're maximizing your opportunities, you're maximizing, you know, the gifts that God has given you and such. So for me, I know what I'm capable of. I know what I've been through. And so there's not anything that can kill me but me. You know what I'm saying? So for me, honestly, my biggest motivator outside of my own self, honestly, is making sure that I have enough excess so that I can help other people. And that's not just something I say. Like, it's literally one of my biggest goals in life, is being able to take care of entire communities, being able to teach men how to fish, teach men, you know, financial responsibility, teach people how to invest, how to save, and teach people how to help themselves, because there's a sense of pride that comes along with it. So for me to be able to do that, I need to be able to, true wealth is having complete control of your time. That's really what it is. The wealthiest people are not going into the office every day because they have people doing that for them. They can go on 2 and 3 week or month-long vacations to Europe and stuff like that, because they have a complete monopoly on their time. And I want to have a monopoly on my time so I can invest in the things that I'm also interested in, which is community outreach, and, you know, feeding, you know, less fortunate and inspiring them to be able to get up and get their own. So that really motivates me to keep pressing, because if I take a day off, other people are linked to my destiny and they're not going to get what they need because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. If I was meant to build a company that employs 100 people and I'm taking 2 days off to drink or chill with my friends and stuff like that, not saying don't do that, but carve out specific time to be able to do that. If I'm taking away time from other people's destiny then.
And you said something big a second ago that hit me real heavy, was when you became successful as an actor when you decided to become successful, right? And honestly, that's a really, really big key moment that you kind of like slid by real quick, but that's a huge, huge gem, because how many of you guys listen right now have actually 100% decided that that's what you're actually going to do and do everything that it takes to actually make it happen? You know, I know that, you know, when the big part of us being successful online was because me and Stevie, we were like straight up looked at each other and said, yo, we're about to be beasts at this. I don't care how long I got to stay up. I don't care if we got to work until 5 in the morning and then wake up at 6 and go to work. I don't care what it takes. I've decided. And why that's so powerful is because there's so much energy that you spend kind of going back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're indecisive, right? You're like, oh, should I do it? Should I not do it? And that's a lot of wasted energy. So when you can just cut that all out and just decide, now you can use all of your energy towards actually, you know, going after what it is that you want to go after. And it happens so much more, happens so much faster.
Not only in deciding, Steve, but with that decision comes the education part. There's plenty of people that have decided they want something. I decide I want to be a rapper, right. But you don't read, but you don't listen to other people. Right. Where are you getting your influence from? You need to be able to educate yourself in something in order to have longevity in it. Sure, you might be able to pop off of raw talent, off of raw just know-how. And I mean, a lot of people are maybe born with business acumen, but go hit them books. Go educate yourself in it so that you can last forever. When I used to work at this jazz club in New York City, when I decided to drop out of school and go to New York to go to acting school, Swiss Beats came in the jazz club every week. And he was getting his influences from these great jazz composers. You know what I'm saying? So like, you got to be studying. Like, it's not enough to just want something and to make that decision. Make that decision and educate yourself at it as well.
I don't know if y'all understand it, but he's really like laying down the blueprint for y'all. First, step 1 is decide. You can't do anything until you decide. Step 2, educate yourself on what it is that you're actually trying to do and invest in your education. Don't be afraid to, you know, scared money don't make no money. If you're afraid to invest in your education or whatever, you're gonna have a really, really rough time. So that's step 2. And then I would imagine step 3 is just what? Work your ass off and make it happen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I didn't sleep for years, bro. I swear to God. I got in an elevator after a Knicks game with Spike Lee and Joel Santana. This was the night LeBron James dropped 50, 10, and 11 at the Garden. And the next day they took away his triple-double. There was like 9 rebounds or something. I'm just standing in the elevator. It's like 1:30 in the morning. And Spike Lee was like looking at his watch. First of all, I'm an actor in the elevator with Spike Lee, so I'm like, oh shoot, I love Spike Lee. But he was like, I gotta be up in 3 hours. And I said, 3 hours? Why? And he was like, oh, I wake up at 5 a.m. every day and I write for the first three hours of my day. I was like, are you working on something? He's like, no, every day. I do it every day, good, bad, or ugly. And I came across LeBron James when I was working for a catering company, again, in New York City. I met him at this polo party, this Ralph Lauren party. And him, same thing, gets up at 5 a.m. I started noticing every person I looked up to is waking up early and working on their craft before anyone's eyes are even open. Dwight Howard, 5 a.m. workout. His next workout was at 9 a.m. And then his next workout would be after school at 3:30 or whatever when he was in high school. You know what I mean? 3 workouts a day. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I didn't get sleep for years because I was like, man, I don't got it yet. I'm not good enough yet. And even now, guess what? There's other guys in my category that are working a lot as well, and I'm a fan of all of them too. But I'm like, I know they're working. They're working right now. They're working when I'm not. So let me keep going.
So let that be a motivator to all of y'all listening. Never feel like you've done enough. Never have that sense of entitlement and accomplishment. Like, yo, I did it. I can kick my feet up, because there's always somebody behind you that's grinding to take your spot. And I'm sure that's how Drake thinks, being at the top of his game. You know what I'm saying? He's always thinking of ways to level up, even though he's at the top. And I'm sure when you get to that level, you draw on different types of inspiration than you would have when you were at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of lonely at the top. So you got to find different ways to become motivated. But I think that's really important.
At the top, unless you bring everybody that you want to bring with you.
Facts.
You know,
Facts.
That's what it's about, man. Like, I have the dream of owning a compound or apartment complexes where I can house all the people that I love the most, you know what I mean? And have them work for the company, or companies, you know what I'm saying? Like, dream like that so that you can keep pushing yourself, man. You know, it's not lonely at the top if you can bring all your people with you. Then you gotta
I like that.
You know
I
what I mean?
like that.
How else have you kind of diversified your portfolio, like in the business side? Like, what are some other things that you kind of got working on that help you as well?
I'm a firm believer in investing in things that you personally like. You'll work harder for them because you actually like doing it. You know what I mean? I have friends who, work in nightlife. They genuinely love being in nightlife. And so they work hard making sure that anything they do outside of nightlife has some sort of track towards nightlife. For me, I'm an actor. I love to act. But I also found that what I love more than acting even is coming up with ideas, conceptualizing. Okay, what job in my business it works with conception? Producing. Producers put all of the entire production together and are the brains behind hiring the director, the writer, and everything down to catering. You know what I'm saying? So I love bringing people together. And so I've been focusing on producing. I'm starting an online course for UCLA, learning how to produce. And there's 20 different types of producers that can be on a movie or a TV show at any given point. So I'm learning all the different aspects of production. Okay. On top of that, okay, I conceptualize, I come up with ideas. I'm writing as well. I have 6 scripts in the works right now. 3 of them are complete, and I'm tweaking those every probably 3 or 4 days. I'm taking turns tweaking each one like every 3 or 4 days. So I end up working on a script every single day. You know what I'm saying? So constantly making sure that when I meet someone who likes me and they say, what else do you got? What else you got for me? I can say, okay, well, I have this idea, and then they can run with it. You know what I mean? Outside of that, I have a prepackaged foods company that's going to be going live this summer called King's Cuisine, where I'm doing prepackaged meals intended for airlines, private yachts. We have a meeting with Whole Foods, Erewhon, which is a big organic grocery store here, and Costco as well. So getting the food in the freezer aisle, I worked in restaurants for 10 years. It's a big passion of mine. I've watched cooking shows since I was a kid. So again, investing in the things that I personally like. Okay, people have told me my food is great over years, then I should invest in it for so many years. But guess what? I didn't have the capital to start the company. I didn't have it to be able to do it the way that I want to do it. So what did I say? Okay, what's going to help me do that? What's my bread and butter? Acting. I'm good at acting. Let me go 10 times as hard, work harder so I can get bigger projects so then I can have capital to do what I want outside of that craft. So now I'm investing, $50,000 into this food company that hopefully is going to employ thousands of people, and leave a legacy behind for my kid. I'm also taking the Paul Newman approach to that, with the company Newman's Own. I know you guys are familiar with it, all the salad dressings and all that stuff. So Paul Newman was an actor who did not take a salary in his own food company for years because he wanted to feed the world. So now my food company can help build the rest of my dream, which is taking care of communities. So I'm setting up a 33% buyback for all of my food, where 33% of the proceeds goes out into communities, less fortunate people, and providing lunches and stuff for kids in the community. So I'm a firm believer in having everything that you want. I can have everything I want. So I get to still practice my love for food. My acting will help get my face out there so people will even know about it. And we can still feed the community at the same time. And I'll be able to build up, hopefully an empire to be able to take care of everyone that I love, to help take them to the top with me. On top of that, I invested in real estate, into flips in Indiana, North Carolina, New Orleans. And I'm starting a real estate investment company with some guys out here in LA that I've met, some good friends of mine here. And again, in doing business with friends, we keep everything 100% business. Everything's written out. We hired a lawyer that's outside of us to write up the agreements and stuff so that we can maintain friendships and do business, very clearly and straightforward. So we're investing in real estate. The goal is to own a couple of apartment complexes and hopefully build a $1 billion portfolio within the next 5 to 10 years. But keeping your money liquid can be advantageous sometimes, but I try to keep it wrapped up in investments that are always appreciating. Equity is extremely important to me. It's my favorite word. I'm always trying to build equity in something. What is the long-term goal here? I want to buy a house now. I'm ready to do that, but I want to make sure that it's something that if I decide to move on, it's something that will be able to make me money later. You know what I mean? It's either going to be in a great area that's going to constantly appreciate, or I can rent it out to someone after, and it'll still pay me and my children's children, for the next 100 years. You know what I mean? So I'm diversifying as much as I possibly can, man, and trying to keep my hands in stuff that I personally like.
Well, what's dope, man, about this whole situation, about you being an entrepreneur outside of the acting realm, is that the fact that you're making other money, you're not relying on acting, allows you to do you. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be confined in a box or scared to speak out or scared to talk about things that you're passionate about. I know there's certain actors and things like that they kind of have their mouth shut. They have to act a certain way. They have to do things a certain way because that's their bread and butter. With you, if for some reason, not saying this is going to happen at all, but if for some reason a role comes to you that in most circumstances most people would jump on, and maybe it doesn't fit with your morals, you can be like, nah.
No, I always say, make sure that you always come to a meeting not needing the other party, but wanting to work with the other party. And I always say, personally, I can go pro in something else tomorrow. There's nothing that I need. I love acting, but I can go pro in something else tomorrow. I could focus all my energies on real estate. I could focus all my energies on my food company if I wanted to. I could, focus it on community outreach, set up a 501(c), which I'm doing right now as well, and figure out a way to make a living off of that too. So it just makes your life a lot more fluid and easier for you to move around when you're not so dependent on one stream. You know what I mean? I don't ever want to be a slave to being so singular and so linear in my approach to making, finance for my family.
I agree. And it changes your energy a lot too. Even when you have a lot of different things going on, it really does change your energy, and you don't have that thirsty energy, because when you're like really thirsty for stuff, like you're really kind of stressed out, and money doesn't like stress. Money doesn't come to stressed out people. You know what I'm saying? So you want to keep yourself diversified so that you can have a good energy. And I've seen that personally in our business too, man. So that's dope. And by the way, if y'all are listening, this man is literally a star Hollywood actor. He's got a food company. He's got real estate companies, building a course online. Like that right there should, like, whoever's listening, like, what the hell are y'all doing? Y'all think y'all are working hard enough? You're not. We're here to motivate you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's making me feel that way too. Like I feel like 20 hours a day, and this conversation is kind of inspiring me. Like, I feel like I'm not doing anything. So I like that.
I felt like that too when I got on the set of Jumanji and I saw The Rock and Kevin Hart like literally doing 6 and 7 things outside of the movie that they were currently filming, and still had every single line down pat, still had creativity to bring to the current project that they were on, while their assistants, 2 and 3 assistants, are coming up to them for approvals on their other projects. I was like, yo, what am I doing? What am I doing? So that helped kick my motivation into overdrive, because I was like, okay, if I want the things that I say I want, then I need to be doing the things that are necessary in order to get those things. You know? So
yeah, and diving in on that too, man. What was it like working with Kevin Hart and The Rock? And was there like a difference between like kind of like the way that they're moving as opposed to like some other actors, or what was that experience like, man?
Yeah, again, like I told you, man, I'm a professional ear hustler, bro. I watch everything. So, and seeing all the stuff that they had going on outside of the movie that we were working on, you know, I realized I needed to work harder. They're both very personable guys. A thing that I learned, you know, from both of them too, is that they always take out a moment to reach back to the people that support them, and namely their fans. Like, I've never seen them say no to an autograph or a picture with somebody. I don't care how much longer it takes them to get through their day, which, I mean, come on, they're the 2 most famous people in Hollywood, in the world, damn near. So that's a lot of time. So they dedicate, that's part of their craft, and that's part of their fan base, and that's also part of their income. You know, those are the people that buy the products that they sell, and the products that they sell is entertainment. So investing back into your consumer base is always extremely important. And I realized the importance of that so much. I grew up extremely shy, and not, you know, wanting to be in the public eye. I mean, I still get nervous every time I'm on set. I get nervous every time I'm on a carpet, armpits itching, sweating, and all that stuff. But ultimately, I had to learn how to push that aside to be able to, again, invest in my consumer base and stuff as well, and talk to people like human beings. All of that is extremely important in, you know, making your money as well, and finding a genuine way to connect with people as well is extremely important. And that's what I learned from Kevin and Dwayne, you know? And that's why they're both producers on the last Jumanji we just did.
That movie was funny as hell too. I laughed my ass off watching that movie.
Yeah, both of them.
That's another huge gem right there too, man. Don't ever feel like you're too big to reach out to your fans personally, to take care of the people and show love to the people who support you, and show love to you. If The Rock and Kevin Hart are taking time to reach out to their fans personally and never turning down autographs, then I think that you can do it too. And you know, I don't care if you have like 5 fans, you know what I mean? Like, you better show those five fans as much love as you possibly can. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's all about, you know, bro. Like, it just, when I'm looking at your life, man, it's just like, oh my, it's just like win after win after win. It's like W City. You know what I'm saying? But I know
L's in there too, bro. Trust me.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Like, bro, there's got to be some L's. Like, bro, can you please bless us with like an L that you've taken? And what's one, like, the biggest L that you've taken in your career? And like, and how did you bounce back from that?
First of all, I chose to be an actor, man. I chose an L. Okay, already. I was a bio major. I wanted to be a doctor. A cardiologist was always the plan, and I had a full scholarship in order to be able to go do that. But this thing just kept eating away at me inside, where I was like, man, I've been watching movies and stuff since I was a kid, memorizing entire movies since I was 4 years old, and I never gave it a shot, never gave it a true shot. So I was like, you know, the destiny just kind of met me, and I'll go into that another time. But I wasn't supposed to go on this audition at Disney in Orlando, and I ended up going with my girlfriend at the time, and ended up getting an opportunity to get a scholarship at the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. But when I walked away from this for sure thing and being able to go to school and get a medical degree, I knew that I was gonna have to work extremely hard to prove myself wrong, and the people that were like telling me that I'm an idiot for dropping out of school. Because like there's 1% of actors that actually make their full living off of acting. And I've been able to do that for the last 10 years. I just hit my 10-year anniversary in LA like 2 weeks ago. But I mean, I took several L's. I mean, I got to New York, didn't have any money, hardly, had to work 3 jobs in order to get through it. Moved to LA. Before I left New York, I got my car sold to me fraudulently. And so I put $4,000 down for a car that ultimately was repossessed because it wasn't even owned by the company that sold it to me. So now I had no car, no job in LA. My mom was sick, so I had been taking care of her for the last few years. And I had $35.17 in my bank account and no job. I was like, what am I gonna do? So I went to the store. I got a loaf of bread. I got some sandwich meat, some mayo, and some cans of beans, to be able to hustle it through for the next couple of weeks. And when I got home, I was like, okay, I'm not coming home until I have a job. So I borrowed a friend's car, went out looking for jobs. I hit the pavement for 3 days, got a job. It was paying me $40 a day. I was like, okay, at least we can eat. $40 a day. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go out and look for another job. Got a second job at this French restaurant. I'm working there at night, the other place in the daytime. Okay, carve out my auditions for 2 to 4 p.m. every day because that's my break. I worked every single day for the first 3 months that I got here until I could build up another little cushion, little savings, And at the same time, I was auditioning for my first feature film, which ended up being Footloose. But I mean, it was a major L, man. I watched them repossess my car. I had tears in my eyes, bro. Like it was crazy. And I've been broke a bunch of times in between that, so it just kind of felt like the same old story coming back again. But I mean, my brother ended up getting shot and killed 5 years ago. So I ended up taking on his 3 children, and, helping out, his wife as well for the last few years. Half the reason I did what I was doing in terms of acting and stuff is the dream of being able to sit back and smoke a cigar with my brother when we're 40 years old and laugh about how dumb we were when we were kids. So that opportunity was gone for me now. You know what I mean? He's dead. He's gone. My mom's health failed, really bad. I won't go into it, but she had some death scares a few times, and I was 19 years old, and I'm like, man, I don't know how, I'm going to be able to get through this life without her. You know what I'm saying? I haven't even learned how to be a grown up yet. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I take L's on a daily basis, honestly, but I've learned to eat them and make me stronger. You know what I'm saying? Because again, with all the stuff that I've been through in my life, and all the moving and all the instability and all the poverty and all the getting screwed over in business deals, I lost like $300,000 last year from 2 people that I've known for 10 years that were great friends, I thought. And we're in a big legal battle. So learning how to be better at business, vet people a little better, make sure that you stipulate everything in the contract, blah, blah, blah. So I mean, we take L's all the time, but if you're not learning from the L, if you don't turn the L into a learning opportunity, then what are you really doing in this life? You know what I mean?
That's good for our viewers to hear, man, because a lot of times people might feel like the world is ending. You know what I'm saying? But one thing that helps me whenever I go through any type of L, I think about it like, yo, this could be a way worse situation than what it is. I start to look at, other people going through other things and being like, damn, like I'm actually blessed. I'm blessed to actually be here, be alive, be able to make money, be able to support my family and things like that. So I think that it's important to have some perspective about life and the trials and tribulations that you go through. Those little peaks and valleys are temporary things. But like you said, if you can turn that L into a learning experience, you're gonna win eventually. You know what I'm saying? But yo, all right. So I know we only got time for a couple more questions, man. So there's a couple things that we definitely wanted to touch on here. And it's more so in the online space, right? Like, because we're digital marketers and music artists as well. So is having a social media presence and personal brand, how important is that in the acting game? And then also on the marketing end, when you're jumping into different films, do you all have a responsibility to market that particular project? Is there like a set role for each individual actor that's in there?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So social media and the internet has shrunk the world. You can be a professional actor living in Idaho now, because of the influx of self-taping capabilities and stuff. I'm actually, I just booked 2 movies in the last 2 weeks just off of doing self-tapes in my living room, sitting right here. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to social media, you sign a social media contract as well with the studio. So like when I was on Charmed, I signed a social media contract with CBS, and we also had social media training, when to post certain things, what to post exactly, make sure that tonally it makes sense as well. Like you don't want to post some super happy joy post on a day where, you know, God forbid something like Sandy Hook happened or something like that. So learning how to be aware of social events. It just takes a lot of critical thinking, honestly. It's also like knowing what time to post. Okay, if your show you know, does really well on the East Coast and you're trying to get more West Coast you know, fans, don't post it at 6 a.m. On the East Coast. Wait until people are awake, you know, hit that sweet spot at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. on the West Coast. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of strategy involved in that as well. I appreciate that you said I'm outspoken and stuff like that, like on social media and stuff. I don't say half the stuff I really want to, because I still do have a brand to protect and build. And I don't want my personal opinions, you know, kind of muddling, you know, what I truly stand for and offending anyone who, again, might be part of my consumer base. So, you know, I had someone who worked with me kind of tug me on the shoulder about some of the political things that I was saying. I still have those opinions, but she was like, you're not wrong for saying it. What you're saying is right, but wait until you've built up your entire audience, so then you have a bigger reach. So that's important as well. If you look at The Rock and Kevin Hart, you know, those are the two people that I have the closest to me to be able to draw from. They stay pretty neutral on a lot of topics, but I know personally how they really feel about them as well. So like, again, strategizing and knowing the right times to say certain stuff is really important as well.
As far as the whole quarantine goes, how have you seen it affect the music or not the music industry, but the acting industry, the film industry? And have you seen any innovation as far as ways to still be able to do any sort of filming? Have you seen any of that?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's really impacted us completely. I was in Chicago working on my new show. I have a new show coming out on Fox this fall called The Big Leap. We're going to be replacing the Empire time slot now. But we had just gotten up there. We'd been there for 9 days, and then they called us down for a mandatory breakfast, told us what was up, and we were on planes within 3 hours.
Wow.
We were supposed to be up there for a month and a half. So it's tremendously affected our entire, you know, community. And I hope that everyone's able to make it still somehow right now. And I'm hearing that we're not even going to be able to go back into production until the fall now. So we've lost essentially, you know, 8 months of being able to work. And a lot of these people that work behind the camera, they work for weekly wages. So I'm hoping all the guilds and everything are able to recoup that for them and take care of you know, their workers. Innovation, definitely. I had a director session yesterday for a huge movie with a huge director that I really personally love. And I'll tell you about it, you know, once the dust settles. But I had to create an entire lighting setup in my living room to do a virtual director session, chemistry read for this director and 4 producers. So it was like really daunting, but it was like, wow, the power of technology. We're still able to have our session, you know, in my living room. But yeah, we had to do that because they have to cast the movie this week, so that they can start casting the other characters, because the lead character, which is what I went in for, is essential to casting everyone else. So there's definitely innovation. Thank God we can still do everything digitally, and hopefully have like a whole bunch of wins stacked up for when all of this is over and we just work for the next 2 years straight. You know what I mean? That sounds like a lot of fun to me. So
For sure. Well, yo, I appreciate you. We appreciate you. The RFA community appreciates you for taking time out, because I know you're super busy. I know you got a lot going on, man. So real quick, where can people follow you? What do you have in the works? What's dropping soon? Go ahead and let everybody know.
You can follow me on Instagram at Ser'Darius Blain, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff at Ser'Darius Blain as well. Jumanji just came out on DVD about 3 weeks ago. The Last Full Measure, where I play young Sam Jackson, Vietnam War, that just came out on DVD this past Tuesday. You can download those as well, stream them. And I've got another movie coming out called The Knocking, which is my first horror film, so I'm really excited about that. Getting to shoot that hopefully by the end of summer or beginning of fall, whenever we get back to production. And of course, The Big Leap on Fox, which is going to be this fall. So look out for all those. Hit me up. Tell me you saw me from here, and I'll hit you back.
Well, yo, RFA community, this has been the RFA podcast. Stevie Zenith, Flex Boogie, Ser'Darius, thank you so much. We are out of here. Peace and love. Y'all stay safe.
Hey, you too. All right, fellas.
Peace.